fantasy football franchise, talking about that guy, Hoogie, Tyler every week. Heavy analytics, competition real steep. Whoa, that's sweet. Ho in this belief. Nick so sick, man, bringing ships the whole fleet. Goats, not sheep. Follow every tweet. Don't sleep, always finding sleepers on the street. Boy, F3, winning every single league. Money back guaranteed, but it's free. Welcome to the franchise. Welcome to the franchise. Let's go.
Welcome, everyone, to the Fantasy Football Franchise Podcast. With me, as always, is Tyler Gee and Jonathan Robertson.
What up?
You done?
Nope.
Okay. Well,
Bringing it back to back, Nick. Back to back.
The fantasy news.
No, I ain't done. Back to back.
I'm forcing it. We're actually going to give away the Sam Darnold helmet later.
Oh, baby.
You got to listen, though.
It's so
You gotta
smooth.
listen.
It's like peanut butter. You remember when you get peanut butter and you open it up and it's not even been touched? It's that fresh baby nug
That first little...
in the first scoop. That's what the Sam Darnold helmet is. Imagine having that just in your living room 24/7.
And you just felt that feeling all the time. All the time. Okay.
I don't know how else to describe it. That's all I got. Anyways, we'll give that away later.
So, obviously a big thing. OBJ got paid quite a bit.
$95 million.
And I think $60 million plus is guaranteed.
Yeah, I think 65, 60. Yeah. I mean, it's... Here's what's sad, is my first thought was, just make it 100. Just sounds better. I mean, it was like, you're right there. Just... But, I mean, I think this, for Dynasty, I know we talked Dynasty in the offseason, but I think this secures up what we know OBJ is. I think this also adds a little concern for me a little bit in Dynasty, because how long can Eli Manning play? And not that Eli Manning's the best quarterback in the world, but I mean, like, I don't know.
Yeah, he's a Super Bowl champion.
That is true.
At one point, he did get a team good enough to go win the Super Bowl. What concerns me, I guess it's not really a concern, because the general lookout for a dynasty player is 3 to 4 years. I think they're fine for 3 to 4 years, but after the 3 to 4 years, we're looking at Evan Ingram and Saquon Barkley and probably a new quarterback. Now, Saquon Barkley and Evan Ingram are going to have to get paid, or they're going to have to leave, and OBJ is going to be making a butt ton of money at that time.
That could buy a lot of drugs.
Yeah, a lot.
That was so wrong. But that's all I could think about. I was like, man.
Oh, he's going to get on a boat.
About a boat?
Keep in mind, though, when OBJ signs again, he'll be 30. That's when Saquon and them will have to be signed. So
OBJ is going to go out the door?
Not necessarily, but he will be 30. So
okay,
a lot to have in
He'll
between
be
now and then.
older than what I am.
Saquon, he has 5 years till he gets signed. So,
and I mean, you're assuming he's not going to get an extension after 4 years, which happens a lot of the time with rookies.
A lot of times rookies get a rookie tenure, 5th-year option.
Yeah.
So
maybe
goes either way.
And then I think we're just projecting too much in the future. We probably just need to move on. But honestly, I think it just comes down to the quarterback. When you start talking about all that stuff, do they land a rookie that makes it work, or do they go out and have to pay a veteran? I mean, that's really where you're at. So let's move on.
Josh Gordon is probably not going to start. That being said, he will play, but he will not start week 1.
Here's my question: if a lot of drafts happened this week, you saw this news later, do you still play Josh Gordon week 1?
No. You're telling me he's only going to be there for maybe 50% of the snaps he would be if he was a starter?
I mean, I guess. I mean, it's kind of this goes back, though, to what I was saying last week. Listen, I love the talent of Josh Gordon. Do I think he can do it? Yes, but there's people right around him that I feel the same about, and it always just tilted the needle for me. Just stuff like this.
I was in a draft this weekend. Someone drafted Josh Gordon over Jarvis Landry. I was just like, things have gone too far.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a big debate right now. Adam Thielen versus Jarvis Landry. I mean, I get it. I see the similarities. You got Josh Gordon, big body, kind of more of that typical, X wide receiver, if you will, and then you also have Diggs kind of in that same spot, and so you've got Thielen and, Jarvis Landry playing the slot. I lean the Thielen side just because he's my boy.
Mm-hmm.
He's also injured right now. We'll talk about that later, but I also think that he's on a better offense, so there's that, and has a better quarterback. Two things I feel like are important for a wide receiver, but I would still start Gordon unless I have somebody that's just stupid on my bench.
I mean, at this point, if you're drafting him the way most people are, you have to start him.
I don't know. I was in a work league, and I picked up Doug Baldwin, like in the 18th round, because people were like, oh, yeah, he's hurt. And I was like, yes. Yes,
Please,
he's hurt.
please.
Just let him keep falling.
To be honest with you, I mean, a lot of people are drafting Browns players. If I'm drafting them, I'm not playing them in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, the Steelers aren't a bad defense, and I'm telling you, they're also attempting week one. If you play defense, they're attempting. I mean, they're not as good as the Saints. I'm playing the Saints in my work league. They're playing the Bucks.
Oh, the Bucks suck.
With Ryan Fitzpatrick at the helm. Oh man.
No, it doesn't matter
And
if it's Ryan Fitzpatrick.
The Saints have a great defense.
It's going to be bad.
The Saints have a good defense, too. So, I mean, this is just going to be a slaughter fest. Yeah. I'm excited about that. All right, moving on.
So, Sony Michel's finally back at practice. This is what a lot of Sony Michel buyers were hoping for with Rex Burkhead.
And, of course, the coach hype. He was really, really enthused by,
He looked good for someone who came back from surgery. I mean, and that's the way I look at it. It's like, hey, he looked really good. Well, yeah.
I'll tell you this.
Considering.
I like Sony Michel as a dark horse to kind of come back. And I don't know if he's going to be as fantasy relevant as we want him to be, but I feel like he's going to make Rex Burkhead not fantasy relevant. Rex Burkhead is just shooting up ADP, and I'm just like, no.
Yeah, it's starting to get a little too high.
I get it. I understand the narrative, but it's just getting too much for me. I mean, I talked about this with Jonathan. We love Royce Freeman. We've been talking about Royce Freeman for how long? I don't know how long. But he just keeps going, and I'm getting to the point with the Royce Freeman that I'm like, okay, hold on now. We're at the end of the second, beginning of the third.
Whoa.
I'm not making that up. I'm pretty sure. Like, let me look at his app. But I know he goes in, like, the third round pretty easily anymore. And I'm like...
3-7.
3-7. Okay. I mean, I don't know.
Luckily, I picked him up in the 6th.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
These people had no idea.
Well, winner, chicken
I was like,
dinner.
please keep falling. Please keep falling. We got Marquise Lee on IR. Wow, this makes me happy about Keelan Cole.
I really don't care for Marquise Lee. Like, I've never have. Like, he has some moments, but he was always like that one-trick pony. Like, I just felt like he was kind of the deep threat. Like, I don't know.
To me, what this does is they were like, okay, there's Marquise Lee and there's Keelan Cole. You know, who you gonna pick?
Well,
now
to me,
I know what I'm
Cole.
picking.
It was Cole and DD. That was for me.
Yeah.
Now,
But the first wide receivers, the first team offense wide receivers were Lee and Cole before the injury. So that tells me Cole is going to be the guy or the main guy for the Jaguars
for
in
my
the
LA
receiving.
sisters.
Yeah, sure.
One time.
Whatever you want to say.
For my LA. Never mind. But no, I never was much of a Lee fan. I think this does bump up Cole a little bit. He's still going really late, most of the time undrafted. That's insane to me. Did you see that press conference where basically like a reporter asked the coach from the Jacksonville Jaguars if he was happy with his wide receiver core? I think allegedly like kind of pointing at, are you going to bring in Des Bryant or something?
Yeah.
And he was just like, I think we're happy. And I was just like, or something to that extent.
Des Bryant's like watching his phone like, hey, guys, I'm available.
At this point, I mean, really, that's what Des Bryant's going to do is the amount of money he's wanting, the amount of teams he has seen.
He came out today and said that he was probably going to sign later in the season.
Of course you are, because you don't want to accept
He has to wait for an
right
injury.
now.
I mean, that's where we're at. I mean, it's either that or, like I've said, I've been screaming for weeks. With Alshon Jeffrey in his current status, I'm telling you, you're about to see it. You're about to see Dez in a green. He's gonna fly you a fly.
I wonder if he'd take less money for that. I think he would.
That's what I'm saying. I've been saying it, and people are like, no, he won't. All right, that's fine.
So another injury bug, maybe not be bad. Adam Thielen walked off the field, but his leg, he was limping.
Yeah, but that man doesn't even need his legs. He can literally fly with his golden gloves. He doesn't even need legs.
Okay,
he
calm
will
down.
He will
Put that away. Put that away, Tyler.
He will straight just Iron Man blast his way onto his routes and then just catch that stuff like the freaking Shaheem he is.
I think if you had to pick any player to beat, you would want to meet Adam Thielen.
Which is messed up because I'm a Bears
fan.
fan.
The way you talk about him.
Oh, listen, I have said this multiple times. I will give you anything you see in this place. Look at YouTube. Go on YouTube. Look at our studio. It's a beautiful studio.
Some of the stuff's mine.
Okay, don't care. I will give you anything you see in this studio for a pair of signed Adam Thielen Golden Gloves. I've even tweeted at Adam Thielen, and there was no luck.
Okay, so how does this affect your fantasy team?
I mean, Diggs shoots up my board for me. I mean,
does Adam Thielen fall in redraft? A few spots?
Maybe. I mean, right now we're such in the preliminary. I mean, Nick.
But people are drafting this weekend.
I know. So Jonathan pointed out, he's like, you can still walk off on your own accord and still tear a ligament. Absolutely. But you can also walk off on your own accord and have a little sprained ankle. I mean, it's everywhere. I think it does, raise the value of Stephon Diggs for me, but I was already seeing Thielen kind of getting dropped. I mean, Adam Thielen was starting to get a little bit criminally low, at least for me, at least for a guy that finished as a wide receiver 1. Adam Thielen was going the 4-2, beginning of the 4th round, right behind Amari Cooper.
Oh, that should not happen. No one should finish ahead of Amari Cooper.
Now, I will say he was going above Larry Fitzgerald. I would rather have Larry Fitzgerald.
All right, Tyler. I'm going to give you a chance. Nick, the last bet, it took place at 7:25.
Okay.
Nick said that Adam Thielen would be a wide receiver 2. You said that Adam Thielen would be a wide receiver 1.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing. It's like, it's one of those things that I think that on top of Adam Thielen being a wide receiver 1, I can also think that, Larry Fitzgerald will be a wide receiver 1, yes. There's more than one wide receiver 1 in the world. There's actually 12 of them, technically.
How dare you?
I mean, does this knock it down? Absolutely. I mean, injury always does. I mean, OBJ didn't finish as a wide receiver 1 last year because of injury. I don't think it was because OBJ sucks. He did get paid $95 million.
I'm actually going to cut that out. I heard Tyler say OBJ sucks, and I'm gonna just take that, cut it out.
Do some new media. They're like, yeah, Tyler says OBJ sucks. I'm like, that's out of context. So no, I mean, yeah. If this injury dwells, do I think he finishes as a wide receiver 1? No. You can't. That's not good.
So he was previously getting drafted, in some cases late 2nd, early 3rd.
Now he's in the 4th. And this was before the news. The news happened today. We're recording on Tuesday night.
Okay, so he probably drops a half round to a round, depending on who comes up.
These are people going behind him. So if you're saying, okay, I'm not going to take Adam Thielen, I want to take someone that goes behind his ADP, Juju Smith-Schuster. No. I will not. I like Juju, but I still will take Adam Thielen. Larry Fitzgerald. I will take Larry Fitzgerald above him. Josh Gordon.
No.
Chris Hogan.
I'd think about it.
No, not for me. Brandon Cooks. Demaryius Thomas is a close. Yeah. It's a.
I wouldn't take Demaryius Thomas.
So, but what I'm saying is that we're gonna play that game. How low can you go and how high can you fly? And
okay.
We'll play that later.
All right. So Alshon Jeffrey, last one, is out for 2 games. This brings up Nelson Aguilar, who just came back to practice recently.
Yep, his lower back or whatever it is feeling better. There really wasn't a status other than lower back hurt. I mean, this could be muscle spasms. This could be a lot of different things.
The thing to me about this, though, is that this doesn't affect the Eagles because the quarterback situation is also in the air because they're both injured.
Oh, and don't worry.
Alshon Jeffrey's out,
don't
so
worry,
it doesn't matter.
Jay Ajayi's sitting out as well for a lower body injury. So don't worry. He's in the mix, too.
So, I mean, am I going to play any Eagle? if Jay Ajayi's out, maybe the second running back. But if both quarterbacks are injured,
please,
Zach
with your
Ertz,
last pick,
yes?
with your last pick, you should have already been doing this. But get Corey Clement. Like, draft him with your second to last pick, because if Jay Ajayi is out, I think they're going to lean on Corey Clement. I think Wendell Smallwood, I think Darren Sproles will take a little bit of snaps and blah, blah, blah. But if Jay Ajayi is dealing with a real injury that we don't want to allude to anymore, I think that they're going to go with the most talented running back there, and that's Corey Clement. If you don't, he'll be the number one waiver wire. I think. I mean, I don't know. I could be wrong, and he could be fine. But this goes back to what we were saying. We talked about this week 2 ago when we were talking about Alshon possibly being on the pup. I'm not touching him. I just can't. I can't draft him. Like, I really can't. I know people are like, well, he's fallen. Yeah, there's a reason though. Like, I just
there's a reason why he's not.
Alshon Jeffrey is right
round.
now going right next to Corey Davis. And Corey Davis, looking at the preseason, does look a little rough, but he's going in front of Golden Tate, who finished as a wide receiver 1 and is perfectly healthy. Nope, I'll take Golden Tate. And that's in the 6th round for Alshon right now.
If I remember, we looked at
missing 2
Alshon's stats, and he really wasn't great.
Nelson Aguilar basically did the same thing. And I really wish there was a podcast hyping Nelson Aguilar. I really wish there was.
Just stop.
Like, I wish there was a man named Tyler who would spread the love of Nelson Aguilar. I wish there was, but there isn't. They don't exist.
Yeah, we don't have a Tyler who likes Nelson Aguilar.
And the Marquise Goodwin love.
I'm going to tell you this. Go ahead and mark it down.
All right,
mark it down. It's not a bet. I'm just telling you. This is what you need to do.
Bet.
And I've thought about it, and I've already done it in some of my leagues. Go out and get Mike Wallace, and here's the reason why. First game of the year,
I would say dynasty. It depends on how deep your redraft is.
No, listen to the plan. Week 1, they play the Falcons. Not a good game. That's okay. Week 2, they play the Bucks.
That's a good game.
They play the Bucks week 2. Week 3, they play the Colts. These are both defenses that finished.
Did you see the Colts preseason game, like week 3 preseason game? Did either one of you?
No.
Oh, well, let me describe to you their offensive line.
Oh,
they paid so much money for it. Is it terrible?
Oh, it's awful.
Listen,
like, I felt the whole time I was like, no, Andrew, no. Like,
please don't get touched.
And guess what? Their defensive line just as bad.
So
they don't believe in lines.
So if you play the Bucks, last year ranked 32 overall passing defense. The Colts ranked 28th overall passing defense. Then the 4th week they played the Titans, which last year ranked as a 25th passing defense. Just keep him for 2 games. Keep him for the Bucks and Colts and trade him before they go and play the
Titans. Does this change if Wentz doesn't start? If it's Nick Foles?
Yeah, because I really think that at this point, with Nelson Aguilar banged up, with Alshon Jeffrey out for 2 or more games.
What about when Des Bryant goes there?
He's not going to.
So, I mean, I'm not going to say the Bucs defense isn't going to be
free.
bad.
Mike Wallace is free,
but they have actually made it quite a bit better. I think they have 2 or 3 new defensive linemen. One of them being JPP.
I mean, they couldn't have made it worse. They were ranked last.
Exactly. So,
according to Pro Football Reference, they ranked as 34th. There was actually an amateur league.
Their passing defense was not bad because their cornerbacks were bad. Their passing defense was bad because they had no defensive line to pressure the quarterback. So he just sat back there and threw. Now they actually outfitted the defensive line to rush the quarterback and pressure him.
All I'm saying is if Mike Wallace, he's just sitting on waivers.
Just hanging out?
You don't even have to draft it. You can draft Corey Clement and still go pick up Mike Wallace.
I just don't have space.
Free. Yeah, but you should have drafted Nelson Aguilar to begin with. So, I mean,
He may not even play the first week.
Guys practicing. You practice how you play, don't you, boy? That's what my coach said. He's practicing playing, so he's going to play playing.
All right,
you feel me?
We're going to get into the blender with the numbers.
Hey,
and,
Doug Baldwin.
Oh.
Doug Baldwin says that he's going to be dealing with it. He anticipates that he's going to be dealing with this leg injury all season.
That's fine.
Somebody said a couple episodes, go out and get Tyler Lockett. I don't know who it was, but he looks good.
It definitely wasn't me.
He looks good and green.
Wasn't any of us. I know that. By the way, I was listening to the Fantasy Footballers this episode, and I know some of you all probably listened to them. They were hyping up Guess who they were hyping up?
Des Bryant.
No. They were just hyping up all of the people, like most of the people we've been talking about. And I was like, good.
Thank you. Have you guys been listening?
And caveat, I have not listened to another football podcast. Listened to a Scott Fish one the other day, but I don't really listen to football podcasts. Other than
I've listened to a few best ball ones just to try and learn a little bit more about it.
I read a lot. I don't listen to a lot.
Reading
of
for
stuff.
losers.
Yeah, I don't read.
Yeah, I'm hooked not on phonics.
I do numbers, not letters. And when my numbers and letters get mixed up, that's when I get drunk.
God, that sounds kinky.
Joke's on you. If you read on the computer, it's actually numbers. It's binary code, so...
Don't get technical with me.
Wow.
Nerd. Wow. Oh.
Okay, so Blunder with the Numbers, brought to you by sportssabermetrics.net.
Yep, love the website.
Daters. Daters for days.
Oh, the daters.
You can look at some of their rookie stats and things like that, their spark score. Some
Draft
data you're not
year,
going to find
BMI,
other places.
Weight, hand size, arm length, just literally burst score, power score, your mama score, everybody's
Top score.
Yeah.
Leader
Yeah.
score.
Yeah.
Score.
Final
Yeah.
score.
All right, we just derailed this. But yes, sportssabermetrics.net.
The musical score.
Thank you all for sponsoring the podcast.
The Blunder with the Numbers.
Don't do it, John.
he wanted to say another score.
Every time he says blunder with the
All right,
numbers,
so here's what we're going to do.
I always think
Ooh.
blender with the numbers.
Belinda.
And I expect the drop to be number.
Put some oranges in there, Daddy-O. All right, so here's what I want you to do. We're going to do this game. We kind of do this every once in a while just by default. But I want you all, we're going to call, okay, how low will you go or how high will you fly?
Both.
And what I want you to do, in order to conserve time, I want you all to decide who's going to go high and who's going to go low. All right, so in order to do this game, you have to think of a player you're really high on and think of a player you're really low on, and you all have to bat back and forth. So who's doing the high and who's doing the low? I don't care which.
I'll do high.
Okay. So Jonathan is doing low. So here's how this game works is Nick is going to give me a person that he is high on, a player that he's high on. I'm going to pull up the ADP based off a fantasy football calculator. And I am going to keep on going up the ADP until Nick says stop. This is where Nick would draft this person. So
This is rough.
yeah, it's going to be rough. So, all right, Nick, what is your player? What's his name?
Kenny Stills.
Oh God. Okay,
So
let's
go to the bottom.
Yeah,
Would you
go to
take
the
him at
bottom.
the 19-2?
Yes.
All right, Kenny Stills is currently being drafted in the 10th round.
Too
currently.
low. Way too low.
I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. You let me know when you need to stop. When we start getting higher and higher, we may pause and start talking about some of these guys. So, would you rather have Kenny Stills or Jamison Crowder?
Stills.
All right, Robert Woods,
Stills.
Mike Williams,
Stills.
Nelson Aguilar,
Stills.
Kelvin Benjamin,
Stills.
Cooper Kupp,
Stills.
Randall Cobb,
Stills.
maybe a speed bump for Nick, Devin Funches,
Stills.
Robbie Anderson,
Stills.
Jordy Nelson,
Stills.
Emmanuel Sanders.
Stills.
Oh, we're getting close. Sammy Watkins,
Stills.
Julian Edelman,
Stills.
Michael Crabtree,
Stills.
Golden Tate.
I'm gonna have to go Tate.
All right, we broke him. That was in the 6th round. So you would take Kenny Stills 4 rounds early. Now, I know you really wouldn't because
I rank
you get the
him.
value.
I rank him around there. I think he'll finish at worst a wide receiver 3 and at best a wide receiver 2.
But that's what you're appraising him at.
Yeah.
It's 6th round talent
I
in the
took
10th
him.
round.
I took him in a league around 11 or 12.
I would
very
have.
happy
So
with
here's
it.
the problem. I would have stopped at Nelson Aguilar. If Nelson Aguilar, you know my love, but if he wasn't there, I would have stopped at Sammy. But it would have been close. I heard the pause for you too.
I'm just still not a fan of Sammy Watkins, but that's
know you're
again,
not.
that's just me.
I know you're not. Yeah, if you would have said Stills over Golden Tate, I would have slapped you.
Yeah,
I'd be like, we can't. We just can't.
I can't do that one.
Which is crazy because Golden Tate has fallen so low because the next numbers are Will Fuller, Alshon Jeffrey, Corey Davis, Marvin Jones. Yeah, I want Corey Davis over, or I want Golden Tate over all
In my mind,
those.
Kenny Stills is the wide receiver 1, or the main wide receiver for the Dolphins.
I think I heard a
in my
stat that
mind.
he had the most touchdowns out of the slot out of any wide receiver last year. And you're like, he doesn't play the slot. Exactly. They just threw him in the slot close to the goal line and we're like, just grab it. Just somebody grab it.
Just do it.
So here's the thing, though. I will say, I don't know that it's necessarily slap-worthy to take Kenny Stills over Golden Tate. Number one, Golden Tate has this preseason been playing.
I don't know. Okay, it's not slap-worthy, but
It's very questionable.
yeah, it'd been questionable.
And for instance, last year, Kenny Stills playing behind Jarvis Landry, behind Jarvis Landry, finished with 847 and 6. Golden Tate finished with 1,003 and 5. It's not as far off as everybody would think it is.
Oh, it's not, but it just Golden Tate being in the slot. I mean, if Kenny Stills moves to the slot, if they show us something different than that, which I said about the touchdowns, he could. I don't know if he will. With Danny Amendola, Albert Wilson, that seems to be more their job. But I mean, I don't know. I think Golden Tate is a safer pick. He's going to be utilized. He's a yak. That's what he is.
Yeah.
I mean, all right. So Jonathan, now you pick somebody that you dislike, somebody you're low on. And I'm going to pick, their position and keep going lower and figure out how low can you go. So Nick did how high can you fly. Jonathan is doing how low can you go. So Jonathan, what is a player you just are not a huge fan of that you find yourself not drafting this year?
Can you go down low?
Go, take
Zeke.
it low. And shake the honey buddy like you know. I'll get the Zeke first spot, and we're done.
What about? Never mind.
Joe Mixon.
Ooh,
Joe Mixon is a hot topic right now.
that's interesting.
I got to say, watching preseason games, I was hoping that I would see something new from Joe Mixon, hoping I would see something from the Bengals. I
So
haven't.
real quick before we get into this, I'm looking at the PPR average draft position. Between August 10th and August 16th, he jumped from 302 to 210.
What, Joe?
Joe Mixon. So
Yep.
he jumped up, and now he's again on another decline.
Okay. So
So-
let's ride
he's
that
around
wave.
third, early third.
Joe Mixon or Derrick Henry?
Derrick Henry.
Joe Mixon or LaShawn McCoy?
With Sean McCoy.
Joe Mixon or Alex Collins?
Alex.
Joe Mixon or Royce Freeman?
Royce Freeman.
Joe Mixon or Jerick McKinnon?
Jerick McKinnon.
Joe Mixon or Lamar Miller?
Lamar Miller.
Joe Mixon or Jay Ajayi?
Joe Mixon.
All right, so not too bad. It's Jay Ajayi goes on the beginning of the fourth.
Who's right after J.J.?
Kenyon Drake.
Okay, so let's say...
You could add Jay Ajayi lower. Would you take
Yeah.
Kenyon Drake?
Absolutely.
Okay. Mark Ingram, Marshawn Lynch. I'm taking Joe Mixon.
Joe
off
Mixon,
those.
yeah. Over those.
Okay.
So I would put him right above Jay Ajayi,
It's about the
right
beginning
below
of the fourth.
Kenyon Drake.
Yeah.
About a beginning of the fourth, which is not where you're ever going to get Joe Mixon.
But yeah, I mean, he's being taken at the end of the second. What has he showed you football talent-wise for
he
him
was
to
running
go?
back,
Jeremy
running
Hill
back
left?
33.
That's it.
He was running back. And Hill didn't even take that many snaps, to be honest. Like, let's be real.
Yeah.
Just to compare with the first guy that you named, Derrick Henry, Joe Mixon had 178 attempts, 626 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Derrick Henry had 2 less attempts. He had 120 more yards and 1 more touchdown.
Oh, you don't have to sell me. I tweeted out.
He's not
at one
good.
Point, at one point, I tweeted out Joe Mixon's rookie year, his rushing yards and what he got. How many rushing yards did he get his freshman or first year?
626 yards.
620. Yeah, okay. And I said, if you double his carries, you can double his yards. Yeah, let's just say we do that. He still doesn't outproduce Jordan Howard his first year. And I was like, no one else is concerned about that. Like, and I get it. You can blame the coaching because the coaching he doesn't like the, Marvin Jones doesn't like to give it to the rookies. I get it, whatever. And we keep saying that he's talented.
But when he got the ball, he didn't do anything with it.
And in the preseason, I haven't seen much that has just blown me away
Here's a warm
with
take.
Mixon.
It's just warm.
Lukewarm.
You don't need mittens for it.
Yeah,
I think
just like a good towel.
Yeah.
Like maybe like a paper towel. You get something out of the oven real quick.
Yeah.
Paper towel. Just paper
Yeah.
towel it.
Joe Mixon is not the best running back on his team.
Wow, that may be a little hotter than you want it to be.
Actually, I saw that on Bleacher Report today, and I agreed with the tweet. Giovanni Bernard is better. He averaged a yard more per carry last year. He had 70 less attempts and only finished with about 120-something yards less. 130-something yards less and 2 less touchdowns. But he had 389 yards through the air and 2 touchdowns in the air.
Hey, fun fact, how old is Giovanni Bernard?
26.
26. He was born on November 22nd, 1991.
Wow, I was
Am I
just
right?
guessing.
I'm just guessing, too.
Yes.
He's 208 pounds, 5'9".
Once
Just
again,
guessing.
all guess. Yeah, for some reason, I want to make Giovanni Bernard old. I don't know why. I just do. I want to make him like 29.
He has
I
always
do.
been. He has always been the best running back on that team, but he's never gotten the opportunity. I mean, I've always thought that Giovanni Bernard deserved to get the ball a lot more than Jeremy Hill, but he never did. I mean, I remember having Jeremy Hill back when Jeremy Hill was good
With
in
Jeremy
fantasy,
Hill. Yeah.
and I was like, oh no, please don't give the ball to Giovanni Bernard. I know he's better, but please just give the ball to Jeremy Hill.
For some reason, I want Giovanni Bernard to be this old man that comes waddling on the field. I've been here for 40 years. But every single time I look up his age, I'm like, wow, he's 26. He's the same age as like Lamar Miller.
I challenge a listener.
Oh, pff,
I want
full peacock challenge.
I want a listener to message the podcast, and I want you to give me a good reason as to why Joe Mixon is better than Giovanni Bernard. I don't want hypotheticals.
Okay, first off, don't do this because the person that runs the Twitter is me.
I know.
It is not Jonathan. So
I
now
know.
my inbox is just going to blow up. This is Jonathan's take. He has his own dang Twitter. You can hit him at jrob_F3. Now, don't worry. He put everything on private, so he has literally 3 followers.
I
4.
don't do social
4.
media.
Oh, I'm sorry. Me, Nick, the pod, and his friend John. Those are the only people that follow him.
All right.
It's pretty
So I'm-
solid follow, baby.
We're gonna move into the
When
other
he tweets
game.
out something, there are at least 4 people that see it.
I did a who am I?
Nick. He just By the way, if you're not on YouTube, if you're not subscribing on YouTube, you gotta, because Nick just like looked into the camera all longingly, like he was in the office.
Some say I could be an actor. I told them I'm too beautiful.
And some people would say there's liars in the world.
Okay, so I have a running back, and I
Alright.
want you to tell me who I am. He has played for the same team the last 5 years until this year.
Oh, Jared McKinnon.
No.
Okay, continue.
He has never averaged under 4 yards per carry and has only rushed under 100 times once his rookie year.
I know it's not Frank Gore because he's averaged under 4 yards a carry.
And he's
plenty
been
of
on 3
times.
different teams in the past 5 years.
Never under 4. Change teams. John, you got anything?
This is the first time he's changed teams?
Yes.
Give me another stat.
All right. Last year, his best year, he had 1,231 total yards with over 200 rushing attempts. I have one more giveaway clue.
So this year is his first year underneath a new
Yeah.
man. No, don't
All right.
don't no.
Okay.
No.
Well, I can't sit here in silence.
You can.
you will.
And you will.
You
okay,
will.
you can't look up stats just to
I'm
find
not.
a person.
I'm not.
All right,
don't-
fine. Give us a.
No, don't you do it.
No, you give it.
He's the new Jonathan Stewart.
Oh, C.J. Anderson.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
What an idiot.
Last year,
All right, I'm just
he,
gonna-
he
I'm gonna
rushed
say it.
over 1,000 yards.
Which is only like 9 people did last year, by the way. I gotta say it. I maybe changed my mind about Christian McCaffrey.
So I put
just-
some stats down to talk about C.J. Anderson and his role to Jonathan Stewart and kind of comparing them.
Make
Okay.
it quick.
So we're trying to figure out what C.J. Anderson's value is in this new offense. We obviously know that C.J. Anderson has been a decent football player, and we saw that Jonathan Stewart was a decent football player. Last year, Stewart had under 200 carries for 680 yards with a very minimal receiving role. I think he had like 8 receptions. I don't know if I really want C.J. Anderson if he's going to be in the same role as Jonathan Stewart. Because last year, Christian McCaffrey was in there. Before that, Jonathan Stewart got over 800 yards usually. Last year, he got barely he got a little under 700. He had a lot of touchdowns because he was the goal line back, but that's not a reliable thing for me with a running back. So I want C.J. Anderson as a handcuff or flex in a deeper league. Like a 12-man league, I could use him as a flex. Not like an every week flex, but the bye week flexes, I'd be happy about that.
Yeah, I wish I could find the tweet. That's what I was actually trying to do, was trying to find the tweet, and it was talking about C.J. Anderson, differences in their snap percentage. I believe, and I don't know if it was just with the first team or if it was just in general, and I wish I could find the tweet. I saw it this morning. But basically that Christian McCaffrey has taken basically all the snaps for the first team. C.J. Anderson has taken 11% of them.
Wow.
And that is why I'm flipping a little bit on Christian McCaffrey. He may become their in-between the tackles, and I worry that C.J. Anderson is going to become this change of pace / handcuff. I mean, and it could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but if you were to say, Tyler, what has been one of the things that has changed your mind the most about preseason? Like what player? Because preseason we try to say it doesn't matter, but it does a little.
Well, yeah. I mean, you get to see players. There's also injuries.
And
but
that's been one of my
happen.
people that I've changed my mind on the most, is watching C.J. Anderson run, watching how the Panthers are using them, watching the lack of C.J. Anderson, watching Christian McCaffrey just run just makes you feel like he is the back.
Yeah.
And with his pass catching a role already secured, if he does become the in between the tackles running back,
I mean, he could finish running back 8 if he become or higher.
I mean, if he is a 3, he finished 11 with just the pass catching role pretty much.
I just don't know if I feel comfortable with him being small and being a 3-down back.
That's fair. I mean but I'm just saying he's bulked up. I looked at him in the preseason. If there's somebody I've changed my mind on the most, it's been Christian McCaffrey due to the preseason. That has been my biggest takeaway from the preseason thus far.
John, how do you feel about C.J. Anderson?
He's like Jonathan Stewart, no hair.
Look, Ma, no
'Kay.
hands.
Okay.
No dollar.
I mean-
I don't dance.
Jonathan Stewart last year, 198 attempts, 680 yards, 6 touchdowns. I don't expect C.J. Anderson to really get any more workload than that. He's gotten over 200 carries once.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
All right, so I think it's
Better
time
be how you feel.
that we go ahead and give away our helmet. But before we give away our helmet, we got to talk about the people that gave us this beautiful lid to give
The
away.
Hall of Breaks, the newest. The newest memorabilia available. The new.
Just start over, Nick. Try again.
Sorry, guys.
They're so good that Nick
The
can't even
newest
talk about it.
memorabilia available, from recent signings and hot rookies to new products with classic players. First round picks to Hall of Fame standouts, the best products around are in the Hall. Daily chances to win prizes with a new series every week. Products from full-size replicas and authentic helmets to minis and blaze, ice, speed, and other popular styles. There is some risk involved in this game of chance, so be sure to read all the rules of the page or contact the page admin with any questions. Hall of Breaks is more than just a prize page. It is a community of dedicated collectors and lovers of the game.
And let me tell you, you got to get on there, check it out. Hall of Breaks. Listen, I get it. There's some chance.
Jonathan, don't put that on your head.
There's some chance. Hall of Breaks does not guarantee the prizes, but I'll tell you what is guaranteed: a lot of fun. And guys, honestly, it is. It's a lot of fun. Get in there. Next day shipping. There's nothing better than winning a prize and finding out that it's coming to you very soon, within as soon as possible, and that's the best. Jonathan right now is actually wearing one of our Hall of Breaks things. They've outfitted our
Listen
whole
to this quality.
outfitted our whole studio. You can check it out at YouTube. Check us out, the Fantasy Football Franchise on YouTube. You can see all the glorious signed memorabilia they have, 100% authentic and 100% stuck
Sorry,
on
guys,
Jonathan's
I'm
head.
laughing at John taking it off.
All right, so let's talk about our winner. Our winner of this full
Sam
size. It's full size. It's a whole helmet. Okay.
That won't get stuck on your head.
No, sir. Hall of Breaks gives us a full-size Sam Darnold helmet signed by him, certificate of authenticity, the whole nine. Goes to Ethan Bloomer,
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Come message us on Twitter.
Dude, not-
We will deliver it to you. We'll make sure you have it. Be sure to take a picture of it, tag us in it, tag Hall of Breaks, and be sure to get in on on these sweet breaks. Jonathan, you gotta stop, man. You just gotta. I can't do it. Also, by the way,
A lot more comfortable.
anyways,
It's a Cowboys helmet.
Jonathan is trying on all the helmets as I'm doing all this. We are giving away our next giveaway for September. Do you remember the 21st night?
Just wake me up with September, son.
All right, anyways. We are giving away a signed Deshaun Watson winning helmet. It's beautiful. We're going to tweet that out at the beginning of September. At the end of September, we'll give it away.
Oh, no,
we're giving
I
away,
won.
Yeah, we're giving away an item. And Nick already won it.
Yay.
It's beautiful. So thank you, Hall of Breaks. Be sure to look for that at the beginning of September. We'll give it away at the end of September. And also be sure, hey, listen in. We have 2 episodes every week. 2 episodes every week. This is our last episode before you go to 2 a week. That's right, boys. Fantasy football franchise.
It's going
all
to be
the
a
time.
release on Tuesday night, Wednesday. And that's going to be basically a recap. And then we'll have one drop Friday night, Saturday morning area.
We gonna
and that'll
drop
be what this week going to be about.
Start, sits, and don't worry, we'll talk about the news and future things and people that we like. But yeah, you're going to see us. We also talked about trying to do a periscope, you know,
Periscore?
periscope.
Porn what?
No, not a pornoscope. A periscope. We'll talk a little bit more about that once we get out the details. But we're going to 2 episodes a week. Yay, yay.
Wubba lubba dub dub.
The main event.
All right, tell Nick what's in this main event.
So we're going to talk about players that we think are either going to start hot and end terribly, and
So Cinderella.
start terribly and end hot.
See, a lot of people want to say Cinderella story where they go from poverty to a princess. But no one ever talks about how the princess at midnight, once it hit midnight, she went back to a poor
Yeah,
person.
but then she went back to it.
Yeah, well,
you're
so-
talking about a sine wave. That's what you're talking about.
I know, but so to me, the person that starts off hot and then ends poorly, it's kind of a little Cinderella. Like, oh, look at how good they are. And you
then
should have
crash
sold
and
them.
burn.
Yeah, then you should have.
Why don't we just call it Enron?
We got the midnight, when it strikes midnight. These are the midnight players. At midnight, you better sell before midnight. Like last year, okay, Tariq Cohen was the hotness the first couple weeks.
Oh, yeah.
I tell people that I traded Demaryius Thomas and Tariq Cohen for DeAndre Hopkins last year, and everybody goes, I can't believe that someone did that trade. I'm like, I did this week 3, week 2,
Yeah,
week
Tariq
3.
Cohen was like,
He was the hotness, and everybody was saying, oh, he's going to take, Jordan Howard's job. And also, DeAndre Hopkins wasn't doing much. We hadn't seen what, Deshaun Watson was. I mean, lots of variables. I won that league. I really believe this. I won that league because of that trade. I sold before Tariq Cohen hit midnight. Okay? If you had Ty Montgomery the first 3 or 4 weeks, if you sold Ty Montgomery before he got injured, which I know that's a fluke, but I'm just saying, if you sold him in a dynasty redraft, it doesn't matter, before midnight struck, that's great. Good for you. I mean, Jonathan talked about getting Mike Wallace, right, and selling him before he hits midnight.
that would be a player.
That's someone you should talk about. And then the other one is the ugly duckling, who just is going to start off slow. They're just not worth anything.
And then they hot.
Juju Smith-Schuster was a very good explanation of this. He really didn't start off blowing up too much, and the next thing you know, shablam. Keelan Cole.
So, bloop. All right, so
Shablam.
So to show you my example, I feel like Marlon Mack is going to be a Cinderella story. He will start out as the main running back for the Colts,
Okay.
and then he will turn into a committee by irrelevance.
By poop.
He will be irrelevant by the end of the year.
Okay.
And I don't know if there's a lot of stats for me to back these. These are more of gut feelings because of the fact that they have so many players, Naheem Hines and Turbin, with the Colts who have shown they're decent. But we have Marlon Mack, who is the guy who was here last year.
And
He was the
Robert
main
Turbin
back.
is suspended and blah, blah, blah. I mean, he could be the guy. I mean, Lord knows he's big enough. He's
Yeah.
taking the drugs for it. I mean,
So Marlon Mack is someone that I feel is going to have a good first part of the season, maybe 2 or 3 games, and then crash.
The only thing that I will debate with you is I'm already seeing Marlon Mack drop because of his injury status. and people seeing Naheem Hines and what's his face from Indianapolis, Jordan Wilkins, start taking more snaps in the preseason. Preseason hype. But I will say, right around Marlon Mack, Peyton Barber, Isaiah Crowell, I will take both of those over Marlon Mack. Even Tariq Cohen goes behind him. I'm tempted to because I've seen Tariq Cohen do something.
Where he is at right now is better than what he will finish this year. But these first few games will increase his value above that.
Right now,
so
he's running back 37. So you think he finishes lower than running back 37? I mean, I don't know.
I think that's about right.
Okay.
I figured those guys would be a little bit higher.
Okay, would you like Marlon Mack or Adrian Peterson?
I'll just go AP. I'm just going to do it.
I can see it. I mean, there's more upside,
I think AP is more of a flip of a coin. Let's just go crazy.
You want to talk about a travesty right now. Duke Johnson is going behind him.
Okay.
Tyler, we need to fight.
Who is your guy? My gosh.
No, I've talked too much. I'm too angry.
All right.
Jonathan.
I'm going to do one in the same. Ugly Duckling and
So, sine wave? You're going to sine wave
and
it?
Cinderella. Yeah.
So he's going to start off terrible, do bad in the middle, and then finish good? How does that work?
No.
Start off bad.
It's two guys, but they're on the same team.
Okay.
Okay, I was like, what?
Right.
So
because I think they affect each other. I think Tyreek Hill will start off well. He will be Tyreek Hill-esque. He's going to do well. But I think that he fades out. I don't necessarily know that he does horrible. I think he fades out and he settles into that wide receiver 2 role, or those type of numbers. And I think Sammy Watkins steps up. I don't know if you've seen him in preseason or not, or read anything about how Patrick Mahomes and him are like jiving, Patrick Mahomes and Sammy Watkins, but their play styles are very much similar. I think that Sammy Watkins, I don't think he's going to be big play potential like Tyreek Hill, but I think he's going to be a big red zone threat and a good possession person. I know we haven't seen it out of Sammy Watkins, but I think he's going to be that guy disrespected at the 8-2. I mean, taking behind Randall Cobb, Jamison Crowder. I think he does better than that. I mean,
I'll give you that Sammy is disrespected, but I'll just say I like Hill. See, looking at the preseason games, I know you're saying that there's rapport between Sammy and Patrick. I'm seeing rapport between Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes. I mean, Patrick Mahomes hit him with a 70-yard dime. And, I mean, I understand it was secondary. It's preseason. Some of those guys may have been extras. But you don't – I mean –
I also see the problem of, yes, you can have Hill and Watkins. You also have Kelsey.
Yeah.
And Hunt.
Oh, yeah, I get it. I just don't think Tyreek Hill finishes as high as he did last year, and I don't think Sammy Watkins finishes near as low as he did last year.
I will agree with both of those statements. And so, but in saying that, listen, Tyreek Hill isn't being drafted where he was last year. I think people understand that. He's going in the 3rd round.
I took him at the 4-2.
Yeah, in a work league, now granted it was a 10-man league, but I got him in the 4th or 5th round. Now, granted, it's a work league, so not everybody's as passionate about it as I am.
Yeah.
But I mean, and once again, 10-man, so rounds change. But I'm just saying, like, I think people know that. I mean, right now, Tyreek Hill goes above Doug Baldwin, who has the knee injury concerns, Amari Cooper, which we just talked about, Adam Thielen, who also has knee injury concerns, Juju Smith-Schuster. I mean, these are the names that are kind of going around him, and I think that the fact that you're saying he's going to finish lower than he did last year, I think is kind of built into this. He's taken as wide receiver 12.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, and as much as you're like, wow, wide receiver 12 in the 3rd or 4th round, it's just because this draft is so running back heavy. There's so many running backs.
8 running backs in the first 9 or 10.
I mean, I've done a few mocks and I've done a few drafts where literally Antonio Brown was like the only wide receiver taken in the 1st round. I'm not making that up. And I was just like, okay. I mean, it was a 10-man, but still, it's like, good gosh, guys. Like,
all right, Tyler. Tell me who you're fading.
All right, so here they're gonna come out. They're gonna be the hotness.
Okay, Cinderella story.
Just so hot, Cinderella, and then the midnight train going in. It's gonna hit, just boom, and this guy's just not gonna be there, and that is Chris Carson. Listen, I understand. I get it. Chris Carson, we've been seeing him on preseason. He looked great last year too when he got the ball. I wouldn't say great, but looked of decent quality. And then he got hurt, and everybody just sat there and said, "What if? What if Chris Carson could have done it?" And then they draft Rashad Penny, and you go, "Oh no, Chris Carson's dead. He's nowhere to be found.
He's gone forever.
He's gone." I literally almost dropped him in a dynasty league. I'm not making that up because it was just like that's how bleak it was. Right now, Chris Carson is going in the 6th round, right before literally a pick in front of Rashad Penny. Chris Carson, running back 30, Rashad Penny, running back 31. I get it. Rashad Penny had the hurt hand or broken finger, but they're repairing it, blah, blah, blah. But I still believe, I know the Seahawks make poor draft decisions sometimes. I'm not saying that they don't. But they drafted Rashad Penny for a reason. I really do believe that this is Penny's job. I think Chris Carson is going to take some snaps. I think Chris Carson is going to be a good chance of pace back. But at one point in this year, Rashad Penny will come out, and he will be getting a lot of volume. And if you look, first week, let's say Rashad Penny doesn't get back to full health, and Carson has a great game. And then the next week, same thing. You're going to be sitting here going, do I sell or do I hold? Do I sell or do I hold? In my personal opinion, sell him. Because I think by week 14, you're going to wish you did. I think the midnight thing is going to hit at some point.
Yeah, there's a lot of if he did good at all, I'd be like, yeah, get rid of him because there's so much uncertainty.
He's
after
going right behind Dion Lewis, right in front of. I mean, right in front of Rashad Penny. I mean, literally fast forward or backtrack a month ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, Rashad Penny was a 4th round. I mean, he was.
Yeah.
And then I think one little finger injury, and we all of a sudden are like, he's terrible.
He's not invincible. I think that's also part of the problem. We bring these rookies and they're like, they're going to play the whole year. They may not.
I think even too, like I said, I don't think Rashad Penny comes back right away. I think it's going to take him some time. So Chris Carson is my Cinderella story that's not going to have a good ending. It's going to hit midnight, and that's it.
So my ugly duckling, I'm still not sure how I feel about this, but
All right, let's hear
is Nick Chubb.
I like it.
Carlos Hyde to me is the starting running back right now. He's shown he's a very good running back, and right now Nick Chubb we've seen the team in the preseason. He's not the main running back. We have Duke Johnson as the pass catching, sometimes slot role running back, but Carlos Hyde, although last year he was injured pretty much every other year before this. So the point at which Carlos Hyde may or may not get injured, Nick Chubb will step in, and even if they see during the season Nick Chubb step up during practice, they may start splitting carries with Carlos Hyde, and at that point his value will increase quite a bit. Right now he's going in the 11th round. So you're running back 4, maybe 5, depending on how you draft. So he's a handcuff, but he has a lot of potential to be the starter by the end of the year. He's my ugly duckling. I think he is. Yeah, I don't have a lot more to say. Sorry.
No, he was drafted for a reason.
Yeah, he was. He was a very sought after running back, especially in rookie drafts.
Before his knee injury in college, Nick Chubb was talked about so highly in the Devy world. Where you draft even before his injury. He was being talked around with Saquon Barkley. Now, I'm not saying that's where he is. I would much rather have Saquon. That's not what I'm saying.
That's what you're saying. He just said that.
Oh, my gosh. But you see what I'm saying is that I felt like we forgot about how, and then even as somebody, we do Dynasty in the offseason. So if you like Dynasty, stay with us. We're a year-round podcast. Okay? Yeah. I think there's a lot to be desired out of Nick Chubb. And if Carlos Hyde is not healthy,
because Duke Johnson's not going to be the between the tackles guy if they have someone like Nick Chubb. I think Duke Johnson's talented, but Nick Chubb is more of a between the tackles guy.
Yep.
That's his MO.
Mm-hmm. All right, so John, what is your
well, he did
ugly
too.
ducky?
I don't know if you want to do another
Oh,
one.
okay. Yeah, okay. All right, that's fine.
No,
All right,
I
so-
got one.
Okay.
I got-
Oh, go
you
ahead, baby. Then go for you. Do you?
Fine. He gets 3. Whatever.
Hey, I may throw in 2 into this one. as
Fine.
well.
Just do it.
So, a guy that I like a lot, who is taken way too low, in my opinion. Not way too low, but low. Aaron Jones.
You mean suspended Aaron Jones?
Yes.
Go on.
All right.
Suspended for 2 games. It's Jamal Williams who's expected to take the start. Jamal Williams was not great last year. He had 3.6 yards per attempt on 153 rushes for 556 yards. Aaron Jones last year, 5.5 yards per attempt on almost half the rushes at 81 rushes and 448 yards, so almost the same amount of yards. Aaron Jones, I got this idea. I was listening to radio station this morning coming in, ESPN radio coming into work, and they were talking about just how talented Aaron Jones is, comparing him to the other running backs of Green Bay. Ty Montgomery, they're not really sure what they're going to do with him. He battles injury, number 1. Number 2, they're not really sure if they want to move him back to the slot and use him as a receiver, especially with Randall Cobb always dealing with injury. And especially, I mean, you have a running back who's averaging 5.5 yards per attempt.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you moving him out of the backfield? I mean, he's talented. On not even 100 rushes throughout the year, and he almost finished with 500 yards.
No, I mean, I can see it, absolutely. I mean, you know, he's dropping because he's going to miss those 2 games. So, you know, he may come in slow. Who knows? Maybe they take him a few weeks to kind of work him back into the system. So week 3 and 4, you know, maybe not as great. So, but then all of a sudden you start seeing him start gaining momentum, and you want to get on this train before he becomes beautiful.
Yeah, Aaron Jones, he's taken in the 9th round, opposed
Choo, mother lover, choo.
to Jamal Williams taken in the 7th. So 2 rounds later, and then you were talking about
And that was a debate. I mean, Aaron Jones versus Jamal Williams is a real debate.
And you're talking about week 3 and week 4, Aaron Jones coming in. Week 3, they play the Redskins, who finished last in rushing yards allowed last year.
All right, so that's good.
And then you're talking about the Bills, who finished, I think, 27th last year in yards allowed. And then they go play Detroit, which finished 18th in yards
Let me
allowed.
tell you, you want an ugly duckling. Even when it comes to women, right? You want that girl that was kind of a little ugly when she was little, but turned out to be a great person. And then when they got older, boom, bombshell.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Okay.
Just saying, that's what you want in your life.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Yeah.
I mean, am I wrong?
I'd rather just have the hot duckling the whole time.
Yeah, but then
That'd
all
be
these
my
other
preference.
ducks got to get on it, you know what I'm saying?
What do you mean,
you
get on
gotta
it?
fight all these other ducks. But yeah, but I'm an ugly duck. Let's just be honest. If you're not watching YouTube, I'm not an attractive man.
Don't tell them that, Tyler.
If I was, I was thinking about this the other day. My wife was like, if you to, rate yourself on a 0 to 10 on a hotness level. Everybody knows about the hotness level. I told her, I was like, I'll be like a 7. But then I started thinking about it. Think about this though. On Amazon, that's like a 3.5 stars. If you convert it, I wouldn't even buy me on Amazon. You know how you be on Amazon and look at stuff at 3.5 stars? You're like, no, I can find something better.
Yeah, I can.
You're like, I'll
this
find
thing's
a 4
got
star.
4.5.
4.5. Hell yeah, yeah. I wouldn't even buy me off Amazon. Why my wife put me in the cart, I'll have no idea.
Tyler, what's your other guy?
All right, my guy, I tweeted this out earlier. Got a little pushback, but that's fine. My person, I said, is this year's next Juju Smith-Schuster. That's right, I said it. Coming at you live, almost a sleeper pick. I've talked about him before as we do our dynasty in the past, but let me bring him back into the light for a redraft, and that is Mr. Traquan Smith. Mr. Traquan Smith, he is a 3rd-round rookie picked up by the New Orleans Saints. He is 6'2", 210 pounds, according to Player Profiler. He most likely looks like Kenny Britt as far as physical and also Larry Fitzgerald. Now, I'm not saying that's what he is. I'm just saying, that's what they have him most comparable to. Looking at sportssabermetrics.net, one of our sponsors, vertical jump, he was in the 81st percentile. This dude can jump through the roof. He also has a fast 40.
81st.
81th. And the 71th in the 40 at a 4.49. This guy is talented, in my opinion. The guy that first put me on this person way back in the day was Peter Howard. So P. Howdy, shout out to you. I know you all listen to us every once in a while, so much appreciated. Much appreciate all our listeners, but Peter, thank you for getting me on this guy. This guy's lesser known. The reason why I made him out to be Juju, lesser known. You know, Juju wasn't as big of a name last year. He's in a crowded situation, quote unquote, with Michael Thomas, Ted Ginn, and Cameron Meredith there. But I think he is super talented in the preseason. Now, granted, these are seconds, and I understand you can make some different arguments, and I'll talk about that a little bit. Okay? But in the preseason, Traquan Smith has seen 13 targets, 11 receptions for 147 yards and a touchdown. This guy is being targeted early and often. Now, granted, it is preseason. I get that. But it was preseason for Juju last year. It was the early weeks for Juju that last year. You see what I'm saying? Like, eventually, I think the cream, the goodness, and I'm going to take this from Katie Flower, the goodness, the cream rises to the top. And I think that Traquan Smith is the cream of the crop. And I think that, you know, when you start talking about the Saints, you're starting to talk about, you know, a team that in the past, I know they didn't do it last year, they throw a lot. In the past, Drew Brees has supported more than one wide receiver, yeah?
Yeah.
Last year he didn't. It was mostly Michael Thomas, a little bit of Ted Ginn sprinkled in.
And that's because they had the two-headed rushing monster.
Yes, exactly. And Mark Ingram is gone, okay?
Is he gone?
Not gone, but he has four games suspension. Alvin Kamara is there. I think that they get back to what they do. I mean, I really do. I think that Drew Brees is going to see more throws. They don't really have much of a tight end. I think Traquan Smith is that second option. And, you know, I had somebody say, well, can Drew Brees, you know, other than that 1 year with Brandon Cooks and,
Michael Thomas,
he really hasn't done much. I'm like, is that true? Drew Brees the year before, wide receiver 13, wide receiver 32. Now, that's not amazing, but for somebody you could pick up off the waiver wires, that's something to consider. Going back a few more years, he did have 1 year where he made a wide receiver 14 and a wide receiver 23 and a wide receiver 16 and a wide receiver 27 as a second option. And, of course, the magical year 2 years ago, wide receiver 7 and wide receiver 9. So, I mean, I just think that we all expect the Saints to throw the ball a little bit more than they did last year. And I think that Traquan Smith will be that second option. And he will go from an ugly duckling on your waiver wires, no one drafted him, no one knows about him, to just magically being something. Mm-hmm. Now, is he a week in, week out, plug and chug, top wide receiver 1? No, I don't think so. But there's too much similarities between him and Juju for me. I mean, look at the Saints. The Saints drafted in the third round. You know who they drafted in the third round last year? Alvin Kamara. You know who they drafted in the second round of the year before that? Michael Thomas. Can we start paying attention when Sean Payton drafts an offensive weapon? I mean, really, can we start like going, oh, hey, this is something we should note?
I can get behind it. I'm not gonna.
He's more of a sleeper than a ugly duckling.
He's the late round guy that you're like, all right, who do I pick up here?
So one of the Saints dedicated sites, they posted about Traquan Smith on there, and they were talking about 2016. They were like, everyone thinks that Drew Brees can't throw to the second option, and he was saying, you know, look at what he did with Michael Thomas and Brandon Cooks. I don't think we're too far out of the same situation, except maybe we have an established running game now. However, they project Traquan Smith to be the second receiver over again, and they're projecting
who's old, by the way. Like, let's just be honest, he's not a young.
They're projecting Traquan Smith, and they said you can take it to the bank. I mean, this is a Saints dedicated site. I'm talking, you know, Saints to them, Cowboys to me. Like, they watch everything, they read everything. They're calling Traquan Smith 800 yards and 5 touchdowns. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, where's he going at right now?
He's undrafted.
Okay.
No one drafts him.
800 yards and 5 touchdowns.
But that's my point. I mean, and for those of you that are like, well, you know, Drew Brees. Last year, Drew Brees threw 536 times. And you're like, okay, that's not bad. This is every year outside of that year. 673, 627, 659, 650, 670, 657. You get the point. This is the first year that Drew Brees, outside of the last time he threw 500 passes was in the year 2009. And I get it, they established more of a run game with Alvin Kamara marking, and I think that they still are going to run the ball. But I think teams are going to study more tape. They're going to see. I think Drew Brees throws more than 536 passes this year. I just do. I think he does. And I think Ted Ginn, being his older age, fades. Cameron Meredith, I was the resident Cameron Meredith truther, but it was because of opportunity. What he had at the Bears, the opportunity. I don't think he has that same opportunity here at the Saints. Cameron Meredith has seen 2 targets this preseason. You know how many he caught? 0. I mean, and once again, it's preseason, and you can say, well, they're saving them and blah, blah, blah. Michael Thomas has had 7 targets. So if you're saving somebody, the person I think you would save would be Michael Thomas, right? Like, I don't know. It could be a flyer. He could be nothing. But I'm telling you, do not forget the name Traquan Smith. If you're in Dynasty, definitely don't forget him in redraft and just watch him on the waiver wire.
Okay.
I think that's it.
That's the main show, guys.
We come back next week.
I know you learned something.
We come back next week. 2 a week. 2 a week.
You didn't learn anything from Jonathan, though.
2 a week. Except for he hates Joe Mixon. Sends him hate mail.
Thanks for listening to the Fantasy Football
Write him a
Franchise
letter.
Podcast.
You suck.
Follow us at F3Pod.
I think the Bengals are as bad.
That's true. Not as bad as the Bills.